Imagine you're standing at an air hockey table, but the air is completely turned off. You place the puck down, give it a firm push, and what happens? It slides for a split second, grinds against the plastic, and comes to a dead stop. For centuries, this simple observation led to a very intuitive but entirely incorrect conclusion about how our universe works.
People used to look at that puck and think, well, obviously, objects just naturally want to stop. Resting is just their natural state. But is that actually true? If you left it entirely alone, would a sliding object just keep sliding forever? By the end of this lecture, you'll understand exactly why that puck always stops, what the concept of inertia really is, and the invisible forces controlling the motion of literally every single thing around us.
Part 1. Newton's first law explained. Let's look at what is actually causing objects to change their motion.
Like I mentioned, the ancient Greeks thought things naturally wanted to stop. But Galileo and Sir Isaac Newton asked a much better question. What is the cause? What is actually forcing an object to change its behavior? That brilliant shift in thinking gave us Newton's first law of motion. It states that a body at rest remains at rest, or, if in motion, remains in motion at a constant velocity unless acted on by a net external force. Notice that repeated word, remains. You could really think of this as the law of preserving the status quo. Whatever an object is currently doing, it just wants to keep doing exactly that.
But there is a huge catch here. Unless acted on by a net external force. Newton is stating that there must be a specific cause, an external force, for there to be any change in velocity. And remember, changing velocity means either slowing down, speeding up, or changing direction. Without a specific cause, the effect simply does not happen.
So now you might be wondering, if a book is sliding across your desk and grinds to a halt, or if our air hockey puck stops moving, what invisible external force is changing its velocity? We don't see a hand pushing against it, right? So what's the cause?
Let's walk through a mental experiment to reveal it. Step 1, you slide an object on rough sandpaper. It stops almost instantly. Step 2, you spray the surface with powder to make it smoother. Push it again, and it slides noticeably farther. Step 3, add lubricating oil. It slides farther yet. Now step 4, let's extrapolate. What if we turn the air hockey table on, creating a practically frictionless surface? The puck glides across the whole table. The logic here is brilliant. As we eliminate the external force of friction step by step, the slowing effect vanishes. If we could magically remove all friction and air resistance, that puck would slide in a perfectly straight line at the exact same speed forever.
Part 2. Understanding mass and inertia. Let's talk about what I like to call object stubbornness.
Now that we know external forces are the cause of any changes in motion, let's look at the objects themselves. Inertia is defined as the property of a body to remain at rest or to remain in motion with constant velocity. In plain terms, inertia is stubbornness. It is an object's built-in tendency to resist any change to its current state of motion. This concept is so deeply central to physics that Newton's first law is often just called the law of inertia.
Let's make this super clear with a real-life analogy. Picture a standard basketball and a massive, solid rock boulder sitting on the ground. If you walk up and kick the basketball, it easily flies across the room. You have successfully changed its motion. But if you walk up and kick that giant boulder, you're just going to break your toe. The boulder stubbornly resists your attempt to move it. Both objects have inertia, but the boulder clearly has a whole lot more of it.
So how do we actually quantify the stubbornness? The amount of inertia an object has is directly measured by its mass. Mass is simply the quantity of matter in a substance. It's a measure of the amount of physical stuff inside something, determined by the sheer number of atoms and molecules it's made of. In physics, we measure this in kilograms. The more kilograms of mass an object has, the more inertia it possesses, and the harder it's going to be to speed it up, slow it down, or turn it.
Wait, this is absolutely crucial. Please do not confuse mass with weight. It is such a common mistake, so let's clear it up right now. Mass is an intrinsic, unchanging property. It is your literal atoms. Weight, on the other hand, is a force. It is how hard gravity is pulling down on those atoms, and that varies depending on where you are. If you travel to the moon, your weight drops significantly because the moon's gravity is weaker. But your mass, the actual matter making up your body, that remains exactly the same on Earth, floating in deep space or standing on the moon. Your inertia does not change based on your location.
Let's test this to see if you've really got a handle on it. Here's a classic trick question. Which has more mass,
a kilogram of fluffy cotton balls, or a kilogram of dense solid gold? Think about it for a second.
They are exactly equal. A kilogram is a kilogram. 1 kilogram of any substance has the exact same mass and therefore the exact same inertia as a kilogram of any other substance. Your brain gets tricked here by volume and density. A kilogram of cotton balls would take up a giant box, while a kilogram of gold could fit in the palm of your hand. They look completely different, but if you put both in the vacuum of space and tried to push them, they would put up the exact same amount of resistance.
Part 3, Summary and Next Steps. Let's lock in the core concepts we've learned today.
We've moved from ancient misunderstandings to the fundamental rules of the universe. To summarize, Newton's first law is all about preserving the status quo. Things keep doing exactly what they are doing unless a net external force acts upon them. Inertia is that very tendency to resist changes in motion. And finally, mass is the unchanging quantity of matter that dictates exactly how much inertia an object actually has.
We know that objects resist change, and we know external forces force that change. But that leaves us with a final provocative question. What happens when the forces aren't balanced? If you finally push hard enough to overcome an object's stubborn inertia, how do we calculate the result? How fast will it actually accelerate based on how hard you pushed and how massive the object is? Well, finding that exact mathematical formula is the basis of Newton's second law of motion. And that is exactly what we're going to dive into in our next explainer. Keep questioning the world around you, and I'll see